because it's remnants of a regurgitated speech, something that was put together by his media team. I listened to
in the area of security.
Some of the key priority areas we will direct our attention and strength to include re-energizing and reorganizing the security apparatus and personnel of the armed forces and the police with a view to enhance their capacity to engage, push back, and dismantle the operations of both internal and external extremists and criminal groups waging war against our communities in some parts of the country. It proves that Nigeria has the internal capacity to decisively deal with terror attacks on our citizens. However, we recognize that we rapidly have to move to a more proactive and preemptive posture to ensure that these sorts of traumatic incidents do not become a norm. Our administration is fully aware of the responsibility we have to protect the lives and property of all Nigerians, and we will not relent in learning and adapting to changing threats to our national security and civic well-being.
Right after the president's New Year message, your party came out with its own statement saying that the president's speech, his message, was empty and directionless. And the question will be, what did you expect to hear from that message that was missing?
Well, quite frankly, I was awake from 4 a.m. and somehow my body clock tricked me at 6:59 to fall asleep, knowing that there would be nothing in that speech. And I think my body was right, because at the time I woke up by 7:45 and I read the speech, I was very happy that I fell asleep at that time, because it's remnants of a regurgitated speech, something that was put together by his media team. I listened to the interview of Mr. Femi Adesina within the last 20 or 30 minutes, and it's really worrisome that these are the kind of people the president surrounds himself with, because from what he was saying, it is very clear that the president is unaware, is unclear about the direction that he must take Nigeria within the context of 2021, having gone through what we went through in the year 2020. I must also remind Mr. Femi Adesina that Nigeria is still and currently in its second recession since President Muhammadu Buhari took power in 2015, which is quite a shame and reminiscent of the kind of leadership we've gotten from this current dispensation. Don't forget that this is the third time Nigeria is going through recession under this same person. It leads one to wonder that where exactly are we headed as a country? You know, when you've listened to a speech that provides no hope, it provides no direction, it sounds as if the man has not even been listening to even the National Assembly that has asked him to rejig his security architecture. You know, it leaves one, I mean, we should actually listen to the message of the PDP, which has encouraged Nigerians to come together and salvage this country, because we only have ourselves to save in this country. If we are looking for leadership, for now, we don't have leadership in Nigeria. And I'm very sure every Nigerian is very certain and clear of this particular fact, that leadership is currently absent in Nigeria.
So back to that speech,
so if anybody was looking to
pardon me,
if anybody was looking to that speech to provide succor and direction,
Mr. Halebo.
Well, if anybody was looking to the speech of Mr. President to provide direction and succor, it's very unfortunate that rather than do that, it just was an empty speech, a speech that had no basis, it had no direction, it had no guarantees, no promises, it had no will. We could not see anything in that speech that was a sign of hope for Nigerians. But I think the best hope Nigerians have is that we have a viable opposition. I will urge Mr. President to go and read all the speeches, all the speeches issued by the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, because in therein he will find solutions to the myriad of problems that Nigeria currently faces.
So, still back to that speech, I mean, using that term empty and directionless, what would have, what would be a well-loaded speech for you? What would be a speech with direction for you?
Well, first of all, we would have expected the president to look at his security architecture and find out what's missing. You can't have the same service chiefs for the last 5 years and continue. You know, there's a saying that if you continue to repeat the same thing and you expect a different result, that begins to lead to the term of madness. Because as we are in Nigeria today, I can assure you that nobody can conveniently say he will drive his car from Abuja to Kaduna safely, and he will be confident that he will have safety along that road. So, and so goes for every other journey you want to take. If you travel from Abuja to Lokoja today, you are sure that you will have heart palpitation. I'm sure a lot of people have had heart problems having to travel that road because of the current insecurity that pervades the nation. So it's very surprising that one would say that that speech contained any hope for Nigeria. We would have expected the president to provide us with statistics, figures, and actual vision of where he wants to drive. But, I mean, you never that cordon habet, we say in the legal parlance, you can't give what you don't have. Because if you look at the composition of his cabinet, look at the composition of the people around him, you can tell what to expect. Look at the person that just spoke earlier, the spokesperson of the president. Look at how he trivialized the issues of Nigerians, how it looks so simple to him that Nigerians do not even have any problems. Well, I'd advise Mr. Femi Adesina to take a walk and go to the several markets around. If he's in Lagos, he should go to Alade Market or go to Balogun Market and make that kind of statement and see what people will do to him. Because he is unaware that Nigerians are desperate, crying. Nigerians are hungry. Nigerians lack security. Nigerians have turned to providers of their own security. Every neighborhood in that Lagos that he's making that speech from has his own vigilante that they are paying. So we have become local governments of our own. Even in my state, in Edo State today, cannot be provided with security because the governor is almost looking helpless. He doesn't command anything. He doesn't control the security apparatus. If the president was serious about providing security, I'm sure he would have looked at the security architecture and looked for the most effective way to provide security for Nigerians at this point in time. A retired general. It is such a shame that we have come to this place as a country.
Well, speaking of security, the president promised to be more proactive and preemptive. And I was speaking with Mr. Adesina on what that specifically means. You say your party has provided alternatives, has provided ideas. So in that area, briefly, what will be proactive and preemptive for you in this new year?
Well, in the first instance, the president, on the day the president traveled to Kankara, was on the road. Unfortunately, I saw his convoy and I saw the kind of security the president provided around himself. Unfortunately, the president was in his own home state when 300 people, 300 children or more were said to have been kidnapped by armed bandits. Now, if that is not a telling for failure, I wonder what else is. If a man cannot protect his own home, where else can he protect? If we are going to provide solutions for the president, as seen often now, he has been inviting the former president several times to come, President Goodluck Jonathan, to come and give him the strategy PDP used to perhaps secure the country. We never had it this bad. We never had it this bad. Yes, we had an insurgency which was bettered at a very young time, and we were trying to grasp and understand how to manage it. But before the end of the tenure of President Goodluck Jonathan, we saw that Boko Haram were pushed to the fringes. But since this president has come in, they have assumed an era of importance. They have assumed such a magnificent stand that they have taken over cities in the northwest. They are beginning to demand taxes from people. In his own state in Katsina, we saw the governor going to negotiate with bandits in the forest. Now, how do you call that security? If the president is interested in providing security for the people, first of all, look at your security architecture. If the service chiefs are not giving you what you need, you sack them and bring in new people and give them an ultimatum and tell them, I'm giving you 6 months to solve these issues. Make sure that the security provision, the financial provision for catering to this security, these strategies are put in place. There are a lot of people who are in the background, on the fringes, waiting to come in. But no, what do we have? Look at Bishop Kuka's homily on Christmas Day. He alluded to the president's nepotism, that is one of the causes of the problems we have in Nigeria. How do you sit back as probably an assistant commissioner of police who has walked through the ranks, and you see somebody who doesn't deserve a promotion, but because he's probably from the president's village or from his region, he's given a position he ought not to have been given? What do you expect to happen? There are rules to these things. There are ways that you can positively mobilize people to begin to take security as their own personal forte. But when these people see that even the person that is leading them has no care, does not make provisions, has nothing to do, even the president's wife, where is she today? We heard she has taken off. That is the rumor mill today. Nobody has come out to deny this fact that because of insecurity, she can no longer stay in the country. Now, if a man cannot protect his house, again, I say, how does he intend to protect other people? I will ask Mr. President. Mr. President should sit back and not sit in his armchair and allow people to becloud him with different stories that he is doing so well. He is not doing well. The people of Katsina are consistent. For 5 hours I heard yesterday, they blocked the road, are consistently protesting of the insecurity they have. Go to Niger State, Boko Haram is resurging there. Borno State, the governor of Borno State, Governor Zulum, has been attacked 4 times. Governor Shatima, where the PDP held sway, was never attacked by Boko Haram. But 4 times we have seen the governor of Borno State attacked by these insurgents. Every day he's crying, maybe because he has a certain relationship with the president, doesn't want to speak the truth to him. But go and look at the senators from Borno State. Look at what they are saying every day on the floor of the Senate. People are afraid to speak up because once you speak up, the president will intimidate you. But you know, PDP cannot be machinated. PDP cannot be put down. We will speak the truth to the president. As I'm speaking here now, I'm not afraid to tell him that he has failed in terms of security. And perhaps I was expecting that he would have even a better thing for Nigeria, would have resigned on the 1st of January. But since that did not come, we will not force him out of power. We will encourage him that please, because of Nigerians, let us find a way to make this country safe for everybody. Because that's the first thing. The economy you are going to talk about, maybe I know you are going to go there, it starts from security. If someone does not, look at, if you are talking about people going back to agriculture, do you know how many farmers were beheaded in the period of December 1st to 31st of December 2020? 43 farmers, rice farmers, people that produce our rice, were beheaded. And a spokesman of the president said they did not get permits before they went to the farms. Does that not tell you that we are not thinking in this country? We need to provide security first for our farmers before we start encouraging them to go to the farm. Because if I go to my farm and I am not safe, I will not go to the farm.
Let me also get your thoughts on this, Mr. Halebo.
The imputes are not even there for them to go. If you put the imputes, they are being...
Right, pardon me. Let me also get your thoughts on this because it's tied together.
Corruption is at...
Pardon me. So we talked about consequences earlier on, and I got Mr. Adesina's response regarding what will be the consequences, because the president's speech sort of, gave us a picture of what to expect. And the question will be, what would you think the consequences should be if the government does not meet up to these expectations that they have set?
You see, one thing I spoke about during the NSAS protest was that it was a glimpse into the future of Nigeria. Even the so-called priest that supports the president gave him a prediction that Nigerian youths will cause an uprising in 2021 if the president does not pay attention to them. We saw a glimpse of this in the NSAS protest. It is very important that we begin to take the aspirations of young people. You know, yesterday or so, on the social media, a young man, Muyiwa, posted that he had passed his IELTS after 5 attempts and that he was leaving this country for good. The brain drain in Nigeria today is at an alarming rate. The president needs to sit down and understand that the consequences of not providing a viable economy, a security-conscious Nigeria, a security fortified country for people to be able to operate and be able to provide for their families is one that spells doom and anarchy. Nigeria is at the precipice as we speak. Nowhere is safe or secure in Nigeria today. I doubt that there's any state. Imagine an auxiliary bishop of the Catholic Church in Owerri Diocese was kidnapped and recently released just 2 days ago. How do we explain this? When did we get to this point? Nobody, soldiers are even being kidnapped on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. Soldiers of the Nigerian army are being kidnapped. So who is safe? Who is safe in this country? The consequences of this is that you will not have investments. Investors are afraid to come into the country because they are not sure that when they come in, they will have security, or that that the government itself, even by its own actions, will give them equity and justice, that if court judgments are given, the government will obey those court judgments. Now, a very important point that I must make is that there must be, like you said, consequences for actions. I want to ask a question. A number of children were kidnapped in Katsina. These children were freed. Till today, have we seen anybody arrested for this crime? It was a crime. But we are hearing that these people were given money to release those children. And they are today rich men wherever they are. So we're yet to see a country that gives consequences for actions. So if people commit crimes, as these people are, and they are nothing but bandits, they are not fostering any religious. The Boko Haram has no religious indoctrination, because I know they kill both Christians and Muslims. So we must not take them or pamper them that they are from a certain region or that they are following a religious doctrine. No, they are not. They are certainly criminals. And we must begin to see, how many times have we seen a high-level Boko Haram suspect tried and convicted in a court of law today? I dare say that we do not even have anyone that we can point to and say this has happened. People are not being indicted. It took the UAE arresting top officials that were not even mentioned, their names were not mentioned, of this government, and prosecuting them in the UAE for illicit financial flows. Have we seen that happen in Nigeria? Instead, young children accounts are being
Mr. Halebo,
so let us even
quite a number of issues
into the
to raise
of what we need to do. We must begin to see consequences for actions that people take. So if kidnappers kidnap people, or terrorists or bandits are arrested, I have heard tales that these people will
Mr. Halebo, just so we can get your response to some other issues. Pardon me, just so we can get your response to some other issues, because there are quite a number of them. As we wind down on this, the president also spoke on partnerships, and he said that your voices have been heard, and we will continue to listen to you and all the key stakeholders who are committed to the unity of Nigeria to ensure that every region of this nation is safe for all. In some sense, the president is talking about partnership. So as we wind down on this conversation briefly, to what extent is your party willing to partner with the president, with the government, in solving this challenge of insecurity and others?
Kade, you know, I referred you back to all the speeches Mr. Kola Ologbede, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, has, and all the statements, press statements he has released. Those statements are words on marble. If the president would subsume his pride, he has asked President Jonathan to the Villa several times, he might as well take time to go through those press statements, because in each one of them, there is an advisory given to him on what to do. Sometimes I even feel upset that why is the PDP giving this president expo on what he ought to have advisors that should tell him? Maybe these advisors or the people he surrounds himself with do not tell him the truth. But he may want to choose to go back to those speeches, look at the content of those speeches, and see where he can take direction from them. Because otherwise, he's only just playing to the gallery. He's an armchair president as far as we are concerned, because we don't see any results of any actions. In fact, the speech he gave today, we know that it will not by tomorrow.